to the planet. You know what it is, a D of the Bishop. I'm chilling the most. Happy to have you here. And I just want to thank all of you so much for loving the Wu Tang episode that I just did. I got so much love from around the world. Thank you. Please share it, send it to your homies. You know what I'm saying? Keep giving it life. Thank you. I want to thank you for the love behind the Andrew Tate episode. I want to give you so much love for the love I'm getting from the Travis Lemise episode about jujitsu and all of that. I'm getting so much love from that. You know what I'm saying? And the Josh Peters, right? So thank you, thank you, thank you. This podcast is going to be a little weirder. Like, I'm going to start doing more podcasts like off the dome because people really like when I just do my thing and it doesn't feel too prepared. And I honestly, I just like these to feel like conversations between friends. I know sometimes people can overdo this vibe, like, oh, we're homies, we're friends. But listen, if you're listening to my voice, if you're taking time to have an exchange of ideas with me, or you find anything valuable from what I share, I consider you a friend, right? It don't mean we kicking it on a blog, hey, 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 but we're friends, right? That's how I feel. I don't know how you feel. It's probably reality that we're not, but um I feel a kinship. And so I lean into that, right? Like, hey, what's up though, for real? So I'm gonna have a conversation with you um called the inner citadel, right? Beyond the kata. And one of the things I don't talk about is what happens in the resilient men's group talks, but we have super powerful conversations in the resilient men's group. And I know when you talk about stoicism and men, I know there's hella women like, I bet it's like you guys are just saying how much we suck. I mean, some of you do, and it might come up once in a while. But really, what we talk about is how to be better men for ourselves, for our families, for the women we love, and the children we love. And one of the guys who just joined, also remember, it's online, right? We do not record anything, right? We keep no data because we want everybody to feel, all of the men there to feel like they're not being judged and feel like they can say whatever they want because they can. We have whole conversations and sometimes they're ugly and sometimes people cry. I've cried on there. I started one a couple months back and I started crying at the opening, just talking about something that happened to me. So one of the guys got on and we were doing our stoic journals, right? Where we read, we do the practice of stoic journaling, right? Here is mine. And you read through the stoic questions, right? What are the stoic questions in a stoic journal? The first question is, what did I do good today? The next are, second is, what did I do bad, right? Then the third is, where was my self control or self discipline tested, right? That can be emotionally, that can be with food, that can be with somebody at the job, that could be somebody at the store, right? Then you say, why did this occur, right? So you talk about why do you think this happened? And then how can I improve? You ask yourself these 5 questions every day and you start seeing patterns in who you're around, what you do, how you do or do not keep your word to yourself, et cetera, right? And things start going down. So one of the new dudes had a situation where he got into it with a guy, not a physical fight, but there was like an argument and some curse words were stated, and this dude's kid was around, and then the guy started thinking about like, well, how am I modeling, right? So then he kind of went back and he apologized to the dude, even though the dude was out of pocket, no question, right? He wanted his kid to see him apologize to another man and try to squash beef, right? So he did it, right? And he kind of talked about how we felt before, during, and after the event. And we were talking about what it means to be out in public with your kid, and people talk a little crazy and you're trying to navigate it but be a defender, right? At the same time. And I congratulated him on telling us that story. So basically each week one person will try to get through everybody, right? Where everybody gets to kind of go through one day of their journal with the group, and then we kind of get to ask questions and stuff, okay? So he was saying, how he felt kind of bad and this and that. And I said, bro, honestly, it's dope that you even told us this story, it's dope that you chose to Stoic journal about this incident, right? Man, I'm just loving water these days. Like all day. It's my favorite drink right now. Water, ice water. Um, and so like I was like, we can talk about how strong we are. We can talk about how much we like to read the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, read Stoic things, read Socrates, right? Read Taoism, right? Read Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever, right? I said, but like, you wouldn't know where you really were until you got in the mix, right? Like you've been trying to be on the straight and narrow, doing your thing as an upright dad, keeping your job, looking out for your fam, whatever, right? And then pink Himalayan salt right here. And then you're like trying to do your thing. I said, and then this dude runs up, talks crazy, and you have this whole situation. But I'm like, you don't really know how stoic you are, how Christian you are, how Muslim you are, how meditative you are, or highly moral you are until you're out in the world. Okay. I said it's kind of like imagine old school karate, right? Or think of oh my God, Karate Kid, right? Where the kid was like, right? And he was on that log, right? Pacha, trying to kick it and whatever, right? Imagine every time you study whatever you love, that's you doing your katas. You're in your Bible, you're in your Quran, you're reading about the Prophet Muhammad. You are in the Rig Vedas. You're reading the Dhammapada. You're reading the Tao Te Ching. You're meditating, right? You're lifting weights. You're doing jujitsu. You're doing soccer. You're doing whatever, right? And you think you're cool as ice. And then you get into the game and the other striker, center from the other soccer team slash football. I know you, all my UK friends. It's football. I'm American from America. Anyway, that striker, blah, blah, and you're like, oh my God, this fool's footwork is hella sick. Or you are that G. Hmm? You go out to the jiu-jitsu comp. You've been doing all these solo drills, working on your own, visualizing, doing all kind of stuff, reading your little books, watching footage, and then you go out there and you body that dude in like 90 seconds. Cause I've been practicing. Well, emotionally and psychologically, right? The study is our katas, right? The listening to the sermon from the pastor is our katas. The listening to the rabbi, the listening to the imam, the listening to the sheikh, right? Is our kata. But we don't know what we know or who we are until we're out in the world. Oh yeah, you ask the average person, if I'm talking to you, if I'm talking, look at that finger, if I'm talking to you, right? You'll say, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty mellow." If I'm talking to you, you'll say you're pretty patient, you're pretty kind. You'll say you try to speak good to other humans and all this other stuff. And then let somebody bump into you in Safeway and be like, "Get out of the fucking way, nerd." Now what? Hey, shut the fuck up, bitch. What's up? I'll slap the shit out of you in this store. Say I won't slap you in this store. Say I won't. See how quickly it goes? Now look at you. I thought you was patient. How come you ain't quoting the Bible right now? Hmm? Where that hadith about the Prophet Muhammad being gentle. You don't have it in you. You don't have it here. Then you don't have it. If you don't have it in your heart, you don't have it. If you don't have it in the moment, you don't have it. And we're all human. Lord knows I ain't no saint. Lord knows. And I'm not saying this to act like I'm proud of crazy shit I did or said or disrespectful things I've done, whatever, back in the past. I apologize to you all authentically. Authentically. It takes time, bro. It takes time. And sometimes it can be the wrong day. You really are that dude, but it's the wrong day. And so, how do we work on this, right? Marcus Aurelius used to talk about this thing called the inner citadel, right? The inner citadel, he said, like a lot of times people, oh, let's go off to the to the castle in the mountains and do our strategy and train, and then we'll come back and kick everybody's ass. Or we'll go to the mountain retreat, you know what I'm saying, and chop logs and da 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 da. And he said, no, inside of all of our hearts, we should have an inner citadel, right? For those that don't know, a citadel is a fortress. It's like a castle, like in chess, right? It's a castle, a place in your heart where no one can get to. And if you go there in your own soul, you can figure out pretty much anything. Yes, it's nice to go to the mountain retreat. Yes, it's nice to go to the shore. Yes, it's nice to go to all these different places, go to the desert. Ain't nobody always got time for that. And sometimes the moment calls you to retreat into your own head and heart, get grounded, get the solution, and take action. Okay. And so the inner citadel is a phrase drawn from meditations where Marcus Aurelius describes the mind as a fortress that no external circumstances can breach unless you let it. Empire, war, betrayal, grief, none of it can touch the core of who you are unless your own judgment opens the gate. The citadel isn't a place you escape to, it's a part of you that stays sovereign no matter what is happening outside the walls. That is hard. I'm going to say that one more time. It's a part of you that stays sovereign no matter what is happening outside the walls. Bad day at work, boss talking crazy, crazy political drama, stupid violence you see on your phone, kids badgering you about something, and you're just like, how many times I done told you, right? Um, Parents or kids, right? You know, it goes back and forth. Cousins, brothers, cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money, right? So, what are the Stoic exercises, right? I always talk to you about, you know, the Stoic exercises. A lot of people, and you know, I'm always going to say it, I'm tired of the quote boys run around and Marcus Aurelius said, so and so said, so and so. No, it's what did they do to think that way? And how can you learn to think that way for yourself? That's the realness. That's the real Stoic edge, right? It's not quoting Marcus Aurelius. It's doing what Marcus did. It's doing what Seneca did, what Epictetus did, what Zeno did. You heard? This water's ridiculous. It's so good, dude. So good. Um, and so how do we develop practices to get ourselves into the inner citadel? The first is the dichotomy of control audit, right? The dichotomy of control is what you, when you take into understanding what things you actually have control of in the world and what things you don't. Cliff note, you only control yourself and your intention. That's it. You really don't control anybody else, how they feel, think, speak, whatever, right? Several times a day, sort what just happened into two columns: what was in your control and what wasn't. Only respond to the first column: what is in your control. You can also do negative visualization. Now, I do have to say, I was glad that I learned early about negative visualization. That one of the things you have to keep in mind about negative visualization is that for people who have severe physical and emotional trauma, sometimes negative visualization is not the best thing. And this is a very real part of understanding Stoic philosophy and like cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, stuff like that. Okay. But if you haven't undergone severe physical, sexual, or emotional trauma, this can be a great tool, right? Negative visualization. Briefly imagine loss, failure, or hardship before it happens. Not to dwell in fear, but to strip the events of their shock value in advance, right? Like if you think like you might get laid off, think about what it'll be like if Sally from HR comes up and it goes, Charlie, a word. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, we've had layoffs and your name came up and I'm sorry, but da 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 da. Right. So see yourself packing up that desk. See yourself saying goodbye to your homies. Right. See yourself, right? Walking out with dignity and smiling and not, you know what I mean? Natural smiling, not like being a weirdo. right? Um, but allow yourself to feel that. What is that going to look? What do you know? Who are you going to be at? It's okay. That's negative visualization, right? Also, the evening review. It's similar. It's similar to journaling, right? Seneca wrote about this practice each night. Ask where you acted well, where you fell short, what you'll do differently. The citadel gets stronger through repetition, not insight alone, right? It's through heavy repetition of always doing the journaling that you fall into these stoic mindsets so that when you're out and about and someone bumps you, right, you'd be like, well, what? And then you'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm not triggered by that, right? Study your own triggers, right? And then the view from above, mentally zoom out, picture your current problem from a great height, shrinking it against the size of a life, a city, a planet. This resets proportion, right? Not to say that your pain doesn't matter, not to say what's frustrating you doesn't matter, but I found the view from above was one of the first things that I actually did. The first Stoic practice I did, and what it did is it made me depersonalize my pain. Right? So for so many years, I'd be like, "This is happening to me. Oh, why does God hate me? Why does my life?" Right? And then you realize, no, the day you graduate, somewhere else, somebody just dropped out or was told that they didn't get the scholarship. The day you get hired was the same day somebody else got told they didn't get the job. The day your kid was born was the day someone in your same city lost their child. The thing is not happening to us. It's happening. It's happening. The day you propose, somebody broke up. Somebody filed for divorce. Somebody's divorce was made final and they cried. And somebody else was like, ooh, thank you. I needed this divorce though. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, everybody, right? And so um the citadel cannot be a hiding place. The inner citadel was never meant to be a bunker you retreat into to avoid the world. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations while running an empire, commanding armies, and sitting face to face with betrayal from people he trusted. Cassius. Cassius. His fortress was built in the middle of the arena, not away from it. If you're not testing your composure, your ethics, your emotional control, and your physical discipline against real friction with real people, you don't actually know if the citadel holds. Isolation makes anyone look calm. Calm is only proven under contact. Whatever you claim about your patience, your humility, your self control, it means nothing until it's been tested by an argument you didn't choose, a role that didn't go your way, or a room full of people who absolutely disagree with you. Okay. And one of the guys in the in the RMG, a Muslim dude, he had brought this up, so I'm fisting to share it with you. All right. Um, One day, three companions decided they wanted to out worship the Prophet Muhammad himself. One vowed to pray all night, every night, and never sleep. Another said he was going to fast every single day without a break. And the third was going to abstain from marriage entirely. When the Prophet heard about this, Prophet Muhammad, he told them plainly that he feared and revered God more than any of them, and yet still he slept. Still he broke his fast, and still married. He said, whoever turns away from his tradition in that regard is not really following him. The Hadith is one of the foundational texts used to establish that Islam specifically rejects monasticism, isolation, and self imposed extremity as a path to virtue. That's a big problem in the West these days, isn't it? The tradition calls for a man to be tested in the full weight of ordinary life, not shielded from it. Okay. And now we're going to look at a few really dope Stoic quotes that people, because we're always talking about Marcus Aurelius. We're always talking about this person or that person, but we're not always really talking about some of the other Stoics who drop knowledge bombs all day, every day. Um, Musonius Rufus bombed atomically all the time. He's one of my favorite dudes. And he says that virtue is not simply theoretical knowledge, but it is practical application as well. So, a man who wishes to become good not only must be thoroughly familiar with the precepts which are conductive to virtue, but must be earnest and zealous in applying these principles, right? Like, it's not just that you can quote. If you ever want to see me get pissed off, let me see somebody living crazy who likes to quote stuff or say, oh, yeah, I read that book. Not the way you looking, fool. You sure? You sure you read How to Eat to Live? Because you looking like you live to eat, player. I'm just saying, right? You will earn respect of all if you begin by earning respect of yourself. That's what I'm talking about. Rufus out here. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, right? All the goods are friends of one another. A friend is our alter ego, right? So it's like, think about things like this when you're going through your day. And then hold on. I be butchering. I think it's Heracles or maybe Hierocles. I just like hieroglyphics. 93 till. Um his surviving fragments, he wrote a book called The Circles of Concern. His surviving fragments describe the self at the center of a series of expanding circles: family, community, nation, humanity, and taught that the entire work of philosophy is to draw those outer circles inward, treating the stranger a little more like a brother each day, a little more like a sister each day. It's one of the clearest ancient arguments that virtue is measured by how far your circle of genuine concern actually reaches, not how well you can meditate alone in a room. And on that note, I'm up out of here. I'm lying to you. I'm lying to you. Another thing I learned when I started really working on Stoicism is I realized that in general, you will only be as stoic as the person who triggers you the most. Oh yeah, bro. You know what I'm saying? Seneca, Epictetus, da 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 da. And then like your brother comes in. Hey, remember that time when Jimmy fell down the stairs? Stop talking about me falling down the stairs. All right. Stop it. Oh, hella stoic, right? You'll only be as stoic as the person who triggers you the most. So when you work on your stuff, give yourself exposure to those people and situations and don't pretend to be okay. Really be that way. I remember when I was in the midst of my divorce, me and my ex-wife had a pretty bad argument in the courthouse, and I was like, okay, I'm going out. That was horrible, horrible show on both counts. We need to chill. But I told my attorney, you will never see me argue in the courthouse again ever. And so I remember I was walking to work one day. I was walking to the BART station, and I was like, okay, well, if she says this, I'll say that. And if she says that, then I'm just going to act like I'm not tripping. And almost immediately something came in my brain and was like, well, why would you act like you're not tripping when you could actually not be tripping? And that was the beginning of me starting to understand the value of letting go, actually letting go. Um, so get your katas on, get your studies on, and go out in the world. Let's choose to go beyond the kata. I'm gonna leave you with the first um observance of this understanding I got. Okay. Uh Shambhala Dragon Editions, Worldly Wisdom, Confucian Teachings of the Ming Dynasty, translated it and edited by J.C. Cleary. This was the first book on Confucian wisdom I ever had. And this was a story that I read when I was like 21, 22, always stuck with me, right? And it speaks again to being too isolated. Okay. Cultivation does not necessarily have to be done in retreat in the mountains and forests. It can also be done in the cities and at court. In the old days, the monk Zhang Nan practiced cultivation for 30 years, doing nothing but meditation. A monk said to him, you have practiced stillness for a long time. It is time to go out into the world. Together, they went to the brothel section of Chang'an. Probably saying that really bad. When they got there, they saw enticing creatures wearing makeup and rouge. Zhang Nan's mind was moved. And in one day, he spoiled the work of the previous 30 years. From this, we can see that it is indeed necessary to study, not only in sheltered retreats, but also in complex, colorful, noisy, chaotic situations. Shout out to my boy Kuwait Mulam, old school Zulu, West Side from the Bay, you know what I'm saying? Because he gave me that book. He gave me that book. And it changed my life for the better on tons of levels. And that's why I'm bringing it to you now, this many years later. You heard? 30 something years later, know what I mean? So have a blessed day. Work on your inner citadel. If you don't know where it is, be still and find it, right? You might be an INFJ like me. You might be a serious introvert, but you still got to get into the world. You feel me? Have a super blessed day. I hope this helped you. Any men out there, join the Resilient Men's Group online by DMing me on Instagram at Bishop Chronicles. Stay blessed and strong. You know how we do. One love, West Side, Halata Scala, all the above. You heard? Stay